Hey guys, for today's episode number 71.
And today we have a special guest with us. Here she is.
She is.
Hey guys, so my name is Jenny, and if you want to know a little bit of what I do or how I represent myself, is I would say animal rights activist, and holistic practitioner, and vegan chef.
Awesome. See, so many accolades under her belt, and I know everyone's wondering, okay, this person's interesting. What can I get to know about her? So I guess from the very beginning, right? We obviously know that you have a business that you run, and so what is this business that you run? Like, what is it based around, right? Like, what would you say you offer?
So the business that it's me and my partner that run it because we're
Hmm.
both investing into it. So basically,
Oh,
what we do is provide plant medicine in the sense of herbs to help people like start their detoxification journey, or even if you're not doing that, just using herbs as an everyday thing, just because they're full of minerals. And we also provide sea moss and elderberry. So they're basically holistic products, all natural. They're not really like capsules or synthetic, powders. So that's basically what we do. We also help people. Like, let's say somebody wants to really like start detoxing, but they just don't know how, and
mhm.
they just want like a guide or somebody to guide them during the whole time. So we're able to help people that want that too. We do offer that service as well. We create recipes. So our website really has a little bit of everything,
Yes,
but that's basically what it is.
that's so interesting. So I guess basically with like these products that you have like sea moss, like for someone that does not have any clue of what sea moss actually is, like what would you like what could you explain it to them?
So sea moss is a sea vegetable. Just like with seaweed, the thing that goes to wrap sushi regularly. Well, that's a sea vegetable too. So it's just another form of vegetable that is very rich in nutrients. It has, well, the one that we have has 99 minerals of the 102 that the body, is made out of. So that's what that is. So it's just like a natural supplement or just a natural superfood that you can take every day.
Oh wow, that's so awesome.
That is.
I kind of want some of that,
No, yeah.
honestly. I kind of want to start getting into that.
Yeah. And I have a question
Yeah.
too. So like I guess what made you want to start this business in the first place? Like where did
Mhm.
this journey start? Like when did you start becoming more health conscious?
More health conscious. I think it's always been there, even when I transitioned from a regular meat eating diet to a vegan lifestyle.
Yes.
Even me, when I transitioned into that, I went with the idea of being healthy. Like, I wasn't going to eat like junk food or anything. So I think it was like since day one that I was interested, and I think in me doing research and just reading more books, I really got interested in health, how the body works, how food affects the body, and just everything that people really don't pay mind to, even as we're kids.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
that's my whole health history. So then I think in that, I started to study plants, I started to study plant medicine, and so that was my whole interest. But the whole business came later because through Instagram, I've always tried to create things that I can provide to people as a service so that they can help themselves, whether it's food or products. And so eventually, when me and my partner got together, the business was already like his idea in a sense, like bringing it up. So we just came together and just started creating products together. He had already had the herbs in the website, so it's just been a little bit of both of our ideas coming together.
That's
Okay.
awesome. Yeah.
So with you and your partner, and y'all come up with this idea, right? So has he always been that too, or did he like sort of help you, or how does that work?
So I've been vegan for like 4 years now.
Mhm.
When I first met him, he was, bodybuilding, trying to do this whole life and everything. But in that process, he just learned about something that changed his perspective with, lifting weights and getting swole. So he got into functional patterns, and he was already vegan for like a month. I mean, I want to say like 9, 10 months at the time when I met him. So it was like he was first, going through everything like the detoxing phase, because I'm not saying that everyone does it when they go vegan, but some people, depending on how they start, in that journey, whether it's health reasons or environmental reasons or for the animals, it's going to vary the situation. So he started for health reasons, and that's how he got into it. So he himself was studying plant medicine too, like all the herbs to use,
Oh,
to
wow,
cleanse
that's
the
so
organs and
interesting.
stuff. Yeah, but he was more interested in it because he came from a place of being swole.
Yeah.
And so, after learning that it's not really healthy for the body, even though it's everywhere, like everybody wants to be swole, everybody wants to, be big and have muscles. But yeah, that's just a story with like how it all came. So he started with the idea, but then since we're both kind of in the same vibration, then it just blended together. My ideas, his ideas.
Exactly. Wow, that was
So
a big combination, right?
yeah.
Hmm. And I guess right now, how many years have you been vegan for?
For him,
Yeah.
I want to say like almost 2 years now.
So you definitely went vegan first then?
Yeah, I mean, I've been vegan for a while, like 4 years, like I said. So yeah, I mean, I don't feel like it's a long time compared to people that have been doing it for like 10, 15 years, 30 years.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I'm fairly new at it. So
4 years
No,
compared to us. That's what I was saying. I was like, 4 years seems like so long compared to
Francis has
us.
been
right?
months.
Yeah, 4 months, literally
So-
4 months.
Or like 4 months straight into it.
Yeah, four
Yeah.
months straight into it.
Yeah. But you
With-
said you were vegetarian for a while, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
After
yeah.
that?
like 9 or 10 months. So
Yeah.
Counts,
No,
right? Counts.
yeah, I remember when I first started too. It was, I don't know. I mean, for me, it wasn't that hard because I think I already wanted to try it out.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you have the intention of trying something, then it's a lot easier. But yeah, the 4 months were, interesting because, like I told you, I started from a point of detoxing. Like, so I was trying to do that already. So it wasn't easy because, I was detoxing things that, of like years because I was eating animals for 20 years.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't think about that. And yeah, I was going through it for like a whole year and a half of detoxing and going through all of that. But I think it was so worth it because it was like me setting a solid foundation that I was going to live this way. It wasn't just a diet or something temporary. It was more of a lifestyle.
lifestyle.
Yeah. Oh no, it really is a lifestyle. That's something I've come to learn. It's really like I guess it is a diet, right? A lot of people would say it's a diet, but once you
Yeah.
really start to get into it, you realize it's no longer just a diet, but it's really
Yeah.
what you live your whole basis around as well.
Yeah.
But that is so awesome. And I guess basing this question off of that, many people would wonder, like, how did she even get into this? Like, what was the point in the beginning of her life where she was like, okay, maybe I should stray away from eating meat and taking on a vegan lifestyle? Like, so, like, what was the origin of it, basically?
Um, well, it was just, kind of like this desire that came to me when I was learning, about like inorganic minerals being put in the water, which one of them that really caught my interest was fluoride. So that was the spark of that interest. But then after learning what that was, it was like, you just kind of start to question the things that you are kind of told and the things that you do. And I feel like that's something that I never did. So, once I learned about the vegan lifestyle, I was like, like the fact that people live without eating meat because it's so common, it's so normal for people.
Yeah.
I come from a Mexican family, so it's heavy in meat.
Oh,
And
yeah, it is.
yeah, so at first it's kind of weird because, I don't know anybody that's doing it. It's only me at this point thinking about it. And I think I was just scared to first, take up on it. But as I did more research and I understood what I was doing, I think I just decided to go against all the odds, even my family, what I had believed for 20 years.
Wow.
And, in the way that I grew up, I was like, if people are doing it, I'm sure it's possible. If people are not eating meat, it's possible. But actually, the person that inspired that too, and who I was doing more research on, I don't know if you guys heard about Infinite Waters on YouTube.
Waters, yeah.
Infinite Waters.
Yeah.
Yeah, he always talks about the 7-day vegan challenge. Like in all
Yeah.
his videos, he pretty much ends it with that or starts it with that. And I think also the repetition of me watching like his content is what made him more like, what is this vegan? You know, I want to know, why is he so healthy? Why is he so like positive
Yeah.
and like uplifting? And his videos, you know, if you tap into them, that he's teaching you about a lot of concepts, food, you know, consciousness, just being more self-aware, self-love, things that you can do so that you can step into your higher self. And so that was my biggest inspiration, and I think that's how I just decided to really go for the vegan lifestyle. And you know, it was a lot of self teaching myself, because I didn't know anybody. But at the time that I did it, I was doing it with my ex-partner, so I think having somebody else to do it with me also facilitated that process.
Oh yeah, I feel like that definitely helps so much.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Were there any like doubts as you were getting into it? Because I know for me, when I first started going plant-based, there was all these scares. My family were telling me that like, oh no, you're gonna get, you know, you're gonna get malnutrition, you're gonna not get enough of this, you're gonna die and stuff like that. And I guess Infinite
Yeah.
Wonders, like other YouTubers really helped me, like I guess calm all that down. Like, no, other people are
Yeah.
doing it. So yeah.
No, I did have doubts, because I remember the time that I just decided, okay, today is the day that I start, and I'm gonna have my last meat meal. So me and a friend, we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, because I used to love that place.
Oh, I feel you.
You know, that's the spot for a lot of people, because wings are pretty popular for, you know, a lot of people, and even for like some events, especially football. And it's like the big Super Bowl. So, you know, that was a day that I kind of had intentionalized to do that. So I went to eat my favorite meal at the time, got myself, you know, 10 wings of the regular spicy buffalo, and then 10 of the lemon pepper.
Yeah.
And, you know, I even though that's what my intentions were, I think since prior to that, I was already thinking about it and just researching. I kid you not, like I took the first bite of that chicken wing, and I think that was the first time I realized what I was eating. Like it wasn't just a chicken wing anymore. You know, I started to see the veins, the bone, and then just like the purple parts that you find in like, you know, chicken, like the chicken
Oh,
legs.
exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and I think I looked at it too hard, that it's like you just clicked. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it just made sense. And
Yeah.
after that bite, I'd even finish what I had ordered, and I was like, I think I'm ready to do this. Like I just knew in my heart that it was the
Wow.
time.
See, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess
Mhm.
we all have those points, right? And I guess that was your point in your vegan journey where you're like, you know what, no, I don't need this, and now I'm fully
Yeah.
whatever. Like I don't know, personally, I feel like I've had that point in my life too. But have you had like a certain experience that had happened to you, or was it just like over time?
Yeah, it's because I knew, well, when I went vegetarian, for example, like I knew that I wasn't gonna go back to it at all, you know. But I thought I could like go into like vegan and back into vegetarian, you know, back and forth.
Yeah.
But for me, like there was no way I was gonna go back to it, and the reason why is because I've gone vegetarian first, and like a few months later, I get like this pasta meal, and there's like shrimp and like, chicken in it that I wasn't aware of. So I started chewing it. I'm just like, no, like this is, and I look at it like, oh, you know, I just ate meat again, like that I mess up with shit, whatever. And then I started realizing like, nah, like even if I did like want to go back, like I couldn't. Like this doesn't, it doesn't even taste the same to me anymore.
Doesn't taste the
It's just
same.
knowing that this used to be like an animal. It's just like,
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
don't
No,
need
really.
this, you know. So
I guess no, that's really what it is. Like when you, I guess it's because before you would see it completely different. You would just see it as a meal, and you would just see it
Definitely.
as food being given to you. But now I guess when we change our perspectives and you really start to research behind it, you know
I
that
mean,
it's so much more than just food.
yeah. I know that's the thing that people don't realize. We grew up like this. Like we're not technically like, you know, coming from my experience, even I'm sure it's the same for you guys. We're not given the choice at all. You know, as soon as we're able to consume solid food, our parents pretty much, yes, they do give us fruits and vegetables, but then at one point they introduce meat. And obviously as a little kid, you don't know any better. You're going to take whatever your parents give you, whether it's good or not, whether they know it or not. So that's why I always like bring it back to people on that situation, because it's like I didn't have the choice, but now, you know, being, because at the time I was 22, I'm like, now that I have the 21, 22, that I have the choice and I know what this is about, then I think I can make a better choice, even if it's not how I grew up. So, which is scary because you're going against everything that you knew, you know, tradition, food. You're like, well, what am I going to eat? that was my biggest worry. What am I going to eat? Because I didn't realize how much food there was, you know, after I learned everything. But at that point, I was freaking out because I'm like, meat, dairy, and eggs. Like, that's pretty much what I have every day with something else, with rice or something. And so, you know, I was kind of scared. And even to answer the question earlier, like on more detail, at one point, yes, I did want to go back. I literally thought that I was like maybe a little bit crazy for doing it. And I'm like, maybe I should just go back. Like, I did have those thoughts, but I still did put myself in that situation. And like you said, I just couldn't go back. I couldn't turn my eye to it and just forget everything that I had kind of learned in that moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's really like societal norms, like they make it so normal, and then you feel like the odd one out. So you know that makes
Yeah.
you sort of feel down, I would say.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like me, I know everyone was always talking, you know, all types of shit about it. Like, no, it's restricted. I don't, you know what? Like, that
Yeah.
actually got into my
That's
head. Like, them saying that it's
crazy.
restricted
That is
and that it's
crazy.
just, you know, it's so strict. And, you know, I saw it as a challenge. I was like, okay, I can still do it. But then I realized, wait a second. As I got more and more into it, like, I'm not actually missing all these foods that I used to eat because there's just so much more food out there
So
for me to
many.
try. Like, so
Yeah.
much more.
And
And I
that's the
think
thing. Oh, go ahead.
I think that's the turning point for people, because then we realize how much food there is and we're not even like touching, because we're so used to eating basically, you know, like 5 different types of animals every day in different ways.
That's insane to me because I guess now us being vegan, right? We are forced to cook for ourselves. Well, we're not forced
Mhm.
because we enjoy it,
Yeah,
but you know,
Yeah.
we have to adapt to it, right? So now we cook for ourselves. We really see that you can create so much, so many amazing foods and recipes that it's really amazing. And the people that see, you know, really just steak, beef, and chicken every single day in and out, like what is that? Like it's just limited to, I would say, you know, there's so an abundance of food that so many people have yet
Yeah.
to try.
yeah.
You know, honestly, it's like that though, because I think for like 2 months, I was just eating like rice and beans because I didn't know how to cook. And I had told my mom that I wanted to try, and she was like, "You're crazy." But I was like, "Look, you don't have to do anything extra. I just won't eat the meat part, but I'll just get like avocado, rice, and beans or whatever else she was having that was like a side. You know, it's always like a side, but the meat is like the main dish." So I was doing that for a good 2 months, and I was kind of getting tired of it, but I'm like, you know what, I need to do something different. And, you know, I think social media was also the biggest help for me because, you know, YouTube and, you know, social media can like, there's people that have been doing this. So they have a lot to teach you. They have a lot that they have experience with. And I think in me doing so, I was like, oh, wow, like you could recreate a lot of non-vegan meals into vegan. So there's a lot of things that you can do. And you know, as I started to learn how to cook and all of that, then yeah, you do have to cook your meals. But now I see it as a skill that you need to have. And you should be happy to make your own meals. Like I feel like being always dependent of someone or, you know, fast food restaurants, it's not good, especially if you're wanting to be healthy in general.
Oh, I have one huge question for you. Let me say, okay, there's vegans or people that are watching this are probably like, you know what, maybe I'm considering it. What would you say like his first steps? Because for me personally, when I did like a vegan challenge, this was like last year, September, and I remember my main problem was losing a lot of weight, but like it was like unhealthy. Though. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm losing weight and you know looking good though, but like a lot of unhealthy weight simply because you know I was uneducated and I didn't know like what I needed properly, like meals. Like I really would just eat whatever and I would think that's okay. But obviously I had like a calorie deficiency and I wasn't eating
Yeah.
everything I needed to. So, you know, that's a problem that I had when I first started. But I guess that's one thing you can hit on. But like what would you recommend as people take steps into converting themselves or sort of adapting this lifestyle?
I think the biggest one that I would say is to first get educated, because knowing what you're doing helps, you know, tremendously. Because and also like the intention. So I would say intention and education, because you know the intention why you're going to start, why you're even doing everything that you're doing, and getting educated so that you don't have that problem like you did. Because sometimes we, you know, decide to go vegan and we just think that eating everything that is technically cruelty free and, you know, consider as vegan is good for you. But I think since I started with health before ethics, you know, I realized that to a certain extent, whether it's vegan or not, food matters, and you should want to be eating like whole foods if you're, wanting to go vegan. And I say that because you're most likely to lose healthy weight and not too much. And the thing is that you can still eat in abundance without really restricting when you're eating whole foods. Because I did go through a phase of eating like vegan junk food, but I did realize that I didn't feel the best when I was eating, healthier, like more whole based.
Oh, that's actually something that we went through.
Yeah, that's so
really.
true. Yeah, we used to go get the little Gardein packets,
Yeah.
everything, like
all the
everything,
packets,
all the meat
Yeah.
substitutes. And like, yeah, some of them, it's not as like I'd obviously rather eat that than actual meat. I'm not complaining, and it's good.
Yeah, definitely.
But there was a point where that's all we ate.
Yeah.
Like with every meal, that's all we ate. Then we realized, wait a second, there's this whole new world out there called whole foods.
Whole foods.
Where we cook the rice, the vegetables, we have like tofu, all this stuff. Awesome.
And it changed the game. No, it really did, because you really do notice a difference. I would say, like in energy and just how you feel overall.
I just realized that's so true. I was so tired during those days. Like I struggled to wake up. And then like I felt energized. Like this is it. Like I'm actually like it's filling.
I feel that honestly, because I think if it wasn't for me, because I mean, even now it's so common for people to go back. You hear it pretty often, especially with like huge YouTubers that have created a lot of platform and they have millions of followers that either do it as a challenge or, in this time, some people do see it as a trend, something that you just kind of try, let's see what it's about. So there's a lot of misinformation, people going back and then people pay mind to that. They're like, well, what happened? And that's the thing. There's so many people doing it wrong that it puts a bad rep on the whole movement and what it actually is about. And so people think it's unhealthy and it's not sustainable. But, now the research says that it's sustainable in all aspects of life. Even if for somebody that's pregnant and carrying a child, it's even adequate to be eating a certain way, like vegan per se or plant-based. So if you're doing it wrong or like you feel like you're not getting the results that you want, it's because there's something that you need to adjust. And instead of going back, you should just try to find, what is it that you're doing wrong in this lifestyle? Because sometimes it could be somebody eating Gardein and that's it. And then you're like, okay, it doesn't have flesh, but it's still full of ingredients and like so many things that aren't really going to give you the nutrients. They're just going to keep your belly full, but no energy.
That is what the major difference, what it is.
Yeah, like I mean, even with Miley Cyrus, like you said, instead find where you can adjust, not have to like go back to eating, flesh. Like for her, it was like omega-3s, right? She thought she had to go back and start eating fish when, I mean, this is like what your business centered around too, is like the sea moss. Like
and I was gonna say that if people want to say that they're not getting enough omegas, you will. Like if you're obviously like, we don't know how she was eating. That's the thing. We don't know the way she ate. We really don't know. We just know what she's telling us. But the thing is that everything that you need, the body requires, can be found in a vegan plant-based lifestyle. People have been doing it and are doing it. There's people that have been vegan for like 30 years. I met this guy once. I don't know if you guys have ever checked out the Veg Fest in Atlanta.
Veg Fest, I have not. That sounds amazing.
I've only gone to 2 because, it was like, oh my gosh, I have to go. But it's basically like a bunch of businesses, whether it's food or selling products, they get together and it's a Veg Fest. Everything's vegan. They have all kinds of people. Yeah, it's awesome. Like you guys need to go.
No, seriously.
Yeah, they host one every year. Like I've gone to 2, I think. And just it's amazing. I mean, you have so many vegans in one room, all the food. People that are, public speakers, like doctors, people that are in the army, being vegan and stuff.
Awesome.
But yeah, there was this guy that had been vegan for 30 years. So it's like, you see that. And so you really have to forget about the people that are talking shit about it. People that are not educated, how is somebody going to tell you is it healthy for you when they're eating animal flesh?
Exactly.
When they're not even looking into it or knowing what you're doing. So you can't really take advice from those people. You know what I'm saying? You really have to stand your ground and really focus on what you're learning. And especially if you're learning from others that are doing it and are thriving more than the person that's, like, oh, why would you stop? Or it's not healthy. You need protein. Like it's all myths now.
It comes from ignorance, would you say?
Yeah. Which leads me on to my next question. Do you feel like ignorance towards the vegan movement is a choice?
Ignorance?
Yeah, like because like there's some people just like shut it off. Like they don't. It's like they don't care to do the research. They don't even. They're not even interested in it. You know. Because I used to have the excuse of like, oh, okay, well, it's just like they don't know. You know, so it's okay.
Yeah,
At the same time, the
I
internet's out there.
think, yeah, it's valid to a certain extent because, I always have to remember that, when I started, I wasn't aware of it. And I think it also depends on the person. But I'll tell you that before all that happened with me, I had met this girl that was a vegan, and she was my coworker. And
Mhm.
at the time, vegan in my life was like non-existent. So
Yeah.
I judged her, and I was like, what kind of person, does she think she is, not eating meat?
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
I'm guilty
so
too.
like, yeah, I just, in that moment, you do talk out of ignorance because somebody's not doing what you're doing. So depending on the person, it could irritate you, it could annoy you that
Mm,
they're not like you. And so it was just my ignorance, and I also didn't look into it. But I think the second time that it came around, for some reason it was different. I don't know what changed, or I think it's sometimes if the person is ready to listen,
yeah.
or they're actually like paying attention to you, or they're empathetic. Because if I feel like if you don't have those qualities and you're just very ignorant, you have no compassion over other beings, and you don't really care about yourself, then it's really easy for somebody to just be like, just shut it down, like I don't even want to hear it.
Hmm.
And the thing is that you will have those people, but then you might come across the people that are ready to listen. They actually have been looking for something like this, or they're just like genuinely they get it. Like, I don't
Mm,
know if it has to do with intelligence or just empathy or compassion, but they just get it. And
mm,
Hmm.
sometimes, like, I ask my question, I'm like, what separates those people? It's like me and you. We got it, and we just kept going with it,
Yeah.
even though it's going against the norm.
Crazy
yeah.
thing is it's so logical, right? We would say it's completely
It
logical.
is.
Even
Trust me, it
science
is.
backs up. A lot of people say
Yeah.
it backs us up that it is logical, but like, they make us seem like we're the crazy people.
Yeah. And there's
But
no
it's
science behind it.
it's the craziest thing. But like that, okay, for with this question leading into what I'm going to ask you, because obviously you are a huge activist for I guess pushing the vegan movement. So I guess some people like to be vegan, right? And they don't really
Yeah,
they're not activists for
yeah.
just vegan, right? But like, what would you say separated you from, I guess, the vegans that just want to be vegan, and you from wanting to speak up and let everyone know and educate people?
Mm,
Um, I think in the first, well, obviously going vegan, I wasn't trying to talk about it because even like with my transformation, I really wasn't the person to talk to you or like really bring awareness on something that's such a like worldwide issue.
Hmm.
I was really like scared to talk or just get my point across. But I think, as I started to learn more about this, and I think like I said, social media had an influence because I started following a lot of people that were kind of being more vocal about the plant-based vegan lifestyle. So one that really inspired me, I'm like, wow, the fact that they're talking about it. And then another thing is, I'm like, when I was living in Dalton, besides the partner that I was with then, I didn't know anyone else that was really like vegan for sure. And so I'm like, I wonder why. So I think, with all those things, I realized that if we don't talk about it, then how are others going to know about it? And
Exactly.
so I decided to use my platform to share my experience, to share what I was learning. It was scary because I'm like, who's gonna care? Like, are people even gonna watch? Are they gonna probably think I'm crazy?
yeah.
But if I was, to listen to that, then I wouldn't have not done it. But also watching activists on YouTube was the other thing because again, I was following people. With those people, I met other people that I started to follow,
Mm,
and so my perception and like my life was changing a lot. That I started to attract that to me. And
yeah.
I think,
Mhm.
with the animal rights activists, I was really inspired because although I was already trying to do it, I realized that the animals don't have a voice in the sense that they can defend themselves.
That's so
They
true.
can't really, they can only, scream and be in pain. But the people that are doing this to them, they have no sense. They think they're just, objects, and it's part of life, and that's what they should be doing.
Yeah.
So I realized that it takes more than just being vegan. It also takes actively talking about it, because then that's how you get to tell others. And then if you get that one person to change, then they're going to know other people that they might, influence. So I feel like that's what creates this wave of veganism, and that's how it's able to grow, all over the world, because people talk about it, they share it, whether it's social media or even TikTok now that's so famous. That's how I got into it. And I really can't say that it's something that I intended to do. I think I was just really passionate in helping the animals. And it's really hard for people to understand that because they're animals. A lot of people think they're not even worth fighting for.
No.
But I feel like that's the problem, because nobody wants to do that. Nobody really wants to fight for them or stand for them. Then we have the biggest holocaust happening, with a different species, which is just the animals. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, that's how I got into it. Just really being that voice for them, the voice for the voiceless.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely.
That's so awesome.
I kind of have like a random question, but like, you ever think about like the future generations and like think about what they think about us back then? Like they'd see this and be like, what were they doing? Like, did they not only were they destroying like these innocent creatures, but their own planet, their own hell, and they were just messing it all up, right? Like, that's
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. I mean, if you look at, the things and the events that happened in the world, even with slavery, it took a long time to convince people that you cannot own another person for many reasons. It took about 400 years it took for people to push on it. It took for people to stand up. So what I realized is that if we want really like things to change, we have to be that group that just is out there looking crazy to others, but it takes that group to really push something so that there's change. But that's how change happens. That's how slavery ended.
That is so true.
When people stand up for others, because if they don't, then things don't change really. They stay stagnant, they stay the same.
Yes.
I think that's also my inspiration. I may not change the whole world, I know that, but if I can change certain people, that's me doing something, at least actively trying to be that change.
Yeah.
So
No, that's a really good mindset to have, because personally I've experienced, when I first started getting into veganism again, I started posting meals, I started posting like posts, maybe
yeah.
not as hardcore as you, but it is like something that people do see. And the thing is, like, I have helped people convert into
Yeah.
this diet, and I have also seen people backlash towards me. And the thing is, I realized one situation specifically where I would have a conversation with this person and they would say, you know what, like, what does it matter? Like, if I stop, like, I'm one person, like, what is that gonna do? And and that makes me think it's really sad, because every movement started with one person, and then this person spread, and it kept spreading and spreading. So if you think of yourself as so insignificant to the point where you can't change anything, then that's what you're going to be for your life. And it's sad, yes, but you should realize you are this unique individual with so much power inside of you, and you're able to not only change yourself, but change everyone around you for the best. And I don't know why people would see themselves as, I can't do anything, like it's just one person, but that's how everything starts.
I was about to say, it's crazy how you mentioned, I was literally about to say about how every movement that's been like, fought against, like how the norms have been fought is with the few. It literally always starts with the few, whether it's like women's segregation, slavery, racism, gay rights, all that stuff started with the few fighting against the norm. So
yeah, and that's the thing, like, it's happening over and over again. It's just that I think the reason why this has taken so long is because they're not like us human beings. They don't look like us. Like, I'm talking about the animals. And they're seen as commodities that it's not even worth it. And we have all kinds of oppression in the world. Like, it's not just one, it's many. But the thing is that people like to say, like, well, why don't you fight for human rights too? But it's like, okay, there's many causes that you could fight for if it calls you, if you feel called to do it. But the thing is that most people don't even care about animals. There's even within the vegan community, only 1% are activists. So that means that there's a lot of vegans, but they're happy doing that, and they're happy not sharing it, because they're like, everybody has their own personal choice. But the thing with that is that it's not a personal choice. Like, it's been debunked so many times. I just genuinely feel that it's not a personal choice when there's a victim involved.
That's
Whether you understand that they feel or not, it doesn't change that, because they still do feel pain. They're sentient beings. And if you wouldn't do that to another animal, it's like, why are you being a species and like,
yeah.
hurting others but loving others? So I think it's really just making people understand, because I mean, the way I see it is we're brainwashed. We're brainwashed to believe certain things
Mhm.
that when you think about it, they don't really add up, they don't make sense. So I think in breaking that, you start to really see what the system is like,
Yeah.
and I think that's what really also inspired me, because I'm like, wow, our system is really fucked up. And technically we do have the power to change it, because we're the consumers, we create the demand, we're the ones in charge. But sometimes, if the consumers don't know the type of power they hold, then they can easily just support these industries that are not only hurting animals, but they're destroying our planet.
Yeah.
There's so much pollution, and the connection with animal factoring and pollution, like, it's crazy, it's undeniable. Even it's predicted that by 2048 the oceans will be lifeless,
Mm.
because of how much fishing there is, how much demand it is, and it's only increasing, because to a certain extent, even though there's vegans all around the world, we still live in a meat eating world. Like, it's still kind of like leading that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I guess I have another question for you then. What are some of the most common arguments you've heard against veganism? Because like you're very outspoken about this, as I can tell from your stories. I don't even know where you find these posts, by the way. Like I want to post posts like that. They're actually really well worded.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, since changing my mindset, my lifestyle, a lot of things come with that. So I now feel like I don't want to say I only, but I do tend to like only talk or associate with certain people. And not to say that I don't like hanging out with others or they're just not worthy. But what I really look for in people is people that want change, that kind of have the same vision.
Yes.
Because, if I attract those people, then, it's more actively happening than it's not. So I do stay with like-minded individuals. So a lot of my friends are activists. That's how I got, more into it. A lot of my friends are helping the movement in some way.
That's
Yeah.
A lot of
awesome.
my friends are entrepreneurs, they have their businesses. So that's something that I really like surround myself with. And that's what really also keeps the inspiration, because if I'm with people that are just partying all the time and they don't really care, which I understand, I lived that, point in my life, which didn't last too long because it gets old.
Oh, it does.
But surrounding yourself really with the people that you want to be like, or, really empower you, it's what changed me. But in this case is, being an animal defender, or really trying to change the way life is. So going away from the meat eating culture to a more of a plant-based, being more in tune with nature, respecting nature, and just like really aligning my beliefs with my morals, and not just
That,
saying.
that was actually a huge reason for me,
Mhm.
honestly. Like it was because Earthling Ad, he asked this
I was
question,
asking.
like our
Yeah,
morals. That's really what it was. And
yeah,
if somebody would ask me that, would I be able to say, but like I noticed I wouldn't be able to. It didn't align with my morals, so therefore I saw a misalignment in my whole
yeah,
lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I had to find a way to change. But also, I would say, the whole basis of this podcast is really, society sucks. It's a whole thing that societal norms and things that we are
yeah,
going to break out of the conformity that society says to be. And this could be one, because we are the minority, or the minority
Yeah.
in veganism. So by
yeah.
speaking about it, be outspoken, able to spread awareness, maybe to someone listening that doesn't even know what's going on, and
Mhm.
hopefully planting that seed and causing a change. That's really what it is, because we really just want to speak out and really show people that there's so much more, and you shouldn't just follow what everyone else says and be a sheep.
Exactly.
Question what you think, question what you see, question everything around you.
Yes, that's the thing, questioning. Because if we don't question, like, that's the thing, we accept beliefs that we didn't question because, oh, that's how my mom, told me, like, that's
Oh wow.
told me, that's what my grandma did. But there's danger with holding to these tradition, because I mean, I feel like traditions and culture and everything should be challenged, especially when it doesn't make sense and it doesn't logically align to our morals. You know, I have come across people that are against animal cruelty, but they're okay supporting it. So you see the hypocrisy in that. Like they're so against it, but when it comes to a different animal, they're like, oh, it's just like I just couldn't do it. So it's like you really start to challenge people's beliefs when you start talking to them. And a lot of them don't get challenged. They just accepted the belief and it's there, you know, now they're building upon it. So I feel like when you challenge people, then you give them a chance to really think about what they have chosen, whether it aligns or not. And obviously depending on the person, you know, with the vegan lifestyle, it's gonna either attract a strong mind or a weak mind. Those that are weak-minded, they're gonna repel because they don't even want to think about it. But there's people that actually, you know, use their brain and they're like, okay, this makes sense. You know, the evidence is being presented. And you just really have to be logical because, like you said, a lot of it is logical. Some arguments, they don't make sense when you really start to like argue with somebody. You just kind of debunk them because you're like it's not that I want to call you out, but it just doesn't make sense. Like you're just saying things that don't make sense. And I'm coming from logic, you know, like I'm giving you the facts that is happening. So I think that's what separates people too. But yeah, you just have to like be patient with people. You have to be patient with people because you know that you were that person at one point. And it's tough to balance that because of the way things are and the fact that animals are dying every day, the world's getting polluted every day. Sometimes it's really hard to be compassionate because we actually do need this change. Like it's not like, you know, we're fine. Like I genuinely feel that this is the main reason why certain things are the way they are, why there's so much pollution. There's so many things happening. I mean, I'm not saying that's the only thing, but it plays a huge part into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be hard to like be compassionate with people. And I try to be. I don't want to be pushy, but at the same time, it's like, you know, there's animals they're suffering. Like, how can I not be pushy, you know? So it's like, it's tough. So sometimes you have to find ways to talk to people and still deliver the message.
That's true. And I just really appreciate the people who like actually want to have a conversation, like who just want to sit down, like, okay, like why though? You know, like yes, question why I'm living this vegan lifestyle. And like you said, it's not like if people see it as pushy, like usually I just tell them back, okay, well, if you saw a dog getting kicked on the side of the street, like you have this innate compassion inside of you. So, like,
exactly.
You want to stop the horror, the suffering and all that stuff. So it's just, you know, that's how it should be.
And that's the thing, like, you know how there's, you know, people with racism, the whole thing that happened recently. But if you think about it, you know, besides racism, we have speciesism where people, you know, only accept certain species that are to be respected, loved, you know, don't touch them. But then there's the others that are like slit their throats, cut them open.
Hypocrisy.
You know, like, it's the hypocrisy. So it's like you do have to make that aware. And what I understood is that the truth is the truth, no matter how people feel or no matter if they accept it or not. The truth doesn't change. And I think a lot of people don't like hearing the truth because they know they have to change. And some people are very resistant of change. They don't want to change their ways. This is the way I've always done it. You know, this is the way that we grew up, but there's danger in that for the generations that are coming up. Because I always tell my mom, I'm like, you didn't do anything, Mom. Like, I'm not trying to shame you down, but like our parents weren't really the ones to go against the system, to say enough is enough. So it's like, if we don't really create that, then even for the upcoming generations, they're going to fall into the same thing. And just the recycle keeps repeating itself.
And
so, and
I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Something that I've noticed is, you know, like we say, you know, there is activism for a bunch of things going on that, know, that we have to work on as people. But the thing is, if we are able to bring it back to simply as we grow our children up, to show compassion, not only towards humans, toward every kind of human, no matter like what shape, size, color, to even these animals. Like that's really where it starts. Like if you see an animal as, you know, you don't see them as a meal, but you see them as a friend, you see them as, you know, a sentient being that has a feeling, that wants to live. That compassion that you show them from a young age, as they grow up, they'll continue to treat humans the same. They'll
Exactly.
Well, and that's the thing. That's what I noticed, that if you really want to see a major change, it's really starting from not only raising your children and showing them that this is not only just, it's not a diet, it really is a lifestyle. You show them from a young age to be compassionate and care about every single type of animal, therefore leading on to when they interact with humans, they don't see like him as weird because of his skin tone, they don't see him as because
Exactly.
of his size or anything or whatever. It's really just basis showing compassion to any sort of sentient being on this planet, because why wouldn't we? Like, literally, why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why we have to be the change to change those things, because, it is taught. I mean, as babies, I feel like we don't really differentiate between color or animals.
We're taught that.
It's in us to be compassionate. It's in us to not kill, to not hurt. That's why we pay others to do it for us. Because we don't have that instinct. Like, a lot of people do want to argue that, we're carnivores, we're predators and all this crazy stuff. But if you think about it in real life situations, like sometimes we talk just to talk and prove our points. We might be making crazy things. But real life situations, most people do not kill animals for a reason. We cry at the sight of like animals being hurt, even in movies. So it's like the compassion is there, but the thing is that like you said, we forget it as we grow, depending on if it was cultivated or not, if our parents reinforce that or not. So it's like, it's just this, we get desensitized into thinking that we can love our pets, our dogs, protect them. But then the animals on our plates, that's fine, because we also don't see the process. How many of us see the footage on a daily basis? Probably nobody. So the thing is that the system really does deceive, the people, the public, from how their food gets created. You see it with Instagram all the time. You get the graphic images thing before you can actually view it if you want to. Like, they give you the choice that it's too graphic, just giving you a warning. So it's like, why is there, graphic warnings for your food that's being created if it's natural? So it's like a lot of these things, you question them and you're like, okay, like they don't really add up. And if you're uncomfortable with seeing the way animals are killed so that they can become food for you, that says a lot too. If you can't watch it, if it's not good enough for your eyes, then why is it good enough for your stomach?
Yeah.
So yeah, like sometimes we just have to show the reality, because the dairy industry, the meat industry, the egg industry, all these industries that are here to exploit animals, they're putting false advertisement so that people think there's a humane way of killing animals. I mean, that's what most people say. I have had so many conversations where they're like, what's humane? But what is humane about killing someone when the word itself means to be benevolent, to be compassionate of?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's crazy how like these industries, they literally manipulate us and brainwash us. Because the moment you walk into a grocery store, you see everything like neatly packaged. On like milk, you see that nice little happy, the cow's all happy and the
yes,
kids are happy, everyone's smiling, everyone's happy. It's just like, no, this is not what goes on.
No.
Oh man.
exactly. And I think that's where I really understood it, because I'm like, wait, even with TV, you see this whole campaign with Got Milk, it was using athletes that people look up to, that people, know, and they're pushing this agenda of drink more milk because you need it for calcium. But it's like, we're drinking milk from another species that's not even our own.
Yeah.
Does that not seem so weird?
Yeah, that's just,
Dude, would you drink, pig's milk, giraffe milk, monkey milk, cat milk? Probably not. So why is it that we drink cow's milk?
Why is it? Why
it's,
is it?
it's dumb. I hate that. That's actually the first thing I ditched, was just drinking milk. I can't do milk like that anymore, because it's literally another species. Like that's a mother for its babies. That's where its calves.
Yes.
We weren't meant to be.
And that's the thing. Like, even that's why I have a big issue with vegetarians. Like, I know it's a great intention because they're not eating meat, but the thing is that you really have to address the dairy industry if you want to consume dairy. You have to look into it. If you don't, then it's like you're still kind of being a hypocrite, because the dairy industry is as bad or is as worse as the meat industry. The dairy industry is the meat industry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
like all the cows that are use for milk over and over until their bodies just give out, then they're sent to slaughter, and that's what becomes the meat. So that's what I'm saying, like if you want to target both systems, you have to stop both and contributing to both, because that's how they fall. The only reason why they're there and they exist is because of us. We created the man. So it's as easy as, that's what we talk to people, not the industries a lot, because they're not going to change. But if we can change the minds of people, then we can take that power from them and start incorporating it into like plant food, creating more sources for that, because it's possible.
Yeah, yes, it is. You know what? The thing is, I get a lot of questions too, saying, so what are we gonna do with all these animals? Like, we're just gonna let them all free or what? But the thing is, it's really supply and demand. So the more you
Yes.
consume this meat, then they're gonna keep producing it.
Yeah.
But if you slowly start to the rise of vegans, you'll see that it starts to balance down. It slowly starts to
Yeah.
diminish completely because it's no longer in demand. So I guess that's what really we need to implement to people. It's
I mean, it would be awesome if it happened overnight, but it's not.
but it's
It's not. It's going to be a gradual change. And, the only reason why we do have a lot of animals is because they're bred into existence so that they can create more and more. It's not because it's nature and it's happening. No, literally, they're being impregnated, raped, as they want to call it, artificial insemination, raping females so they can get pregnant, and then the process can keep happening. Like, that's how it happens, and that's not natural.
No,
And
yeah.
people
it
want to
is
say it's
not
part
natural.
of life.
You know
Yeah.
what? That's a question that I would like to say. A lot of people are religious people, and we are not bashing anyone that's religious. But
Of course.
this stems to a point where you have to realize what we're. Yes, you can. People would say that these animals were put on this planet for us to consume. But I guess it gets to a point where you realize we are manipulating these animals to get them as fat as we can. We're getting them as much as like impregnating them, doing everything
They're
that we can to make them literally feed all of us.
Yeah.
definitely.
And it gets to a
I
point
mean,
where you go
no,
ahead.
like honestly, I've been involved in a lot of like animal rights things. I've been to sanctuaries. If you have never been to a sanctuary, I really recommend you to go instead of going to zoos or water parks where they have like, marine animals, aquariums, that's the word.
Yeah.
And so what you start to see is that a lot of these animals are rescued. They were going to be slaughtered or be used in some type of way. So they're like the lucky ones that made it out because somebody was, caring enough to save them. And there was this one where they had chickens, but in the meat industry, they're called broilers because there's two type of chickens. There's the chickens that lay eggs, they're in the egg industry. And then you have the chickens that are for meat, which they're called broilers. But they're, like you said, genetically made to grow so large, to produce so much meat that they have issues. So these chickens that were rescued, their legs were like so thick, dude. Like they were so thick. Like it's crazy how big the birds are. And the thing is that they're made so that they eat a lot because with them eating a lot, they get bigger. But they don't know when to stop. So like these animals have to be taken care of in a certain way because if not, they will eat themselves to death. They have to be separated because they can't differentiate between like eating a little bit and then like stopping because they're not natural animals. Technically these animals cannot live in the wild.
Yeah.
They cannot because that's not how they were made. And it's really sad to see that because
So sad.
we're doing this to these animals. We're doing so many crazy things so we can continue to eat it. But the thing is that it's so detrimental to the health, whether it's chicken, like there's no such thing as healthy flesh at this point. Even if people want to say that fish is healthier or chicken is healthier, like it's not. They're being produced like on a large scale that you don't even know if you're actually getting what the industry say you're getting.
Yeah, that's so true. And I'm gonna go ahead and make a bold statement right now because it's something that always irks me. Not even bold. To me, it's just it makes sense. And
Yeah.
if you are a Christian, I feel like you need to be vegan. I mean, it just goes against everything. Like, or actually,
Yeah.
God. Period. Like, it doesn't make
Honestly,
sense.
like no religion mandates meat.
Yeah,
It doesn't say you have to eat meat.
exactly.
And also if you want to like use the Bible as a justification to eat meat, you can't because you know at one point according to the Bible people started to eat meat, But if you think about prior to that, when they were in the Garden of Eden,
Yes.
technically it was vegan.
Yeah.
It's in the scriptures. You know, there's a quote, I can't remember the name of it, but it basically says that, you know, what it shall be for meat is all the bearing trees, all the plants, something like that. So it's
Yeah.
like prior to that, we were, it's just when, you know, something happened. And as far as what I know is that they sinned or something, and, you know, they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
And that's what meat was introduced, because now they were in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had everything, but then that happened. So even if you want to use the Bible as a justification, it doesn't mandate meat.
No.
Prior to that, we were eating plant-based. That's why apparently all the animals and the humans lived together, because there was no killing. You know, there was none of that. And I think using the Bible as a justification is like, so it's not valid at this point, because
No.
if animals were made for food, it's like, why do they feel pain? Why do they have a central nervous system? Why do they have a beating heart where plants don't?
Yeah.
Like, plants are living to a certain extent, but they're not aware, they're not sentient, they don't feel pain. And I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest difference. So it's like, what kind of benevolent, loving God made animals to be murdered? I just really don't believe that.
He wouldn't want us to do that, and that's
Exactly.
the thing, really. And it becomes, I guess, back then, you know, the thing is, it would see it as a necessity, but now we are in
Oh, yeah,
2020,
we have a choice.
so it's no longer
2020, yes.
necessity. It's no longer. It's completely up to you. So it's really, it becomes to a point where, would your compassionate and benevolent God want you to unnecessarily slaughter his animals simply because the taste?
It's just the taste, literally. And
It's
what I
just
asked,
the
Yeah, it's most people, it comes down to pleasure.
It is. It's
But it's not valid, because if you put your justification on a different scenario, like, oh, I just want to rape because, you know, I get pleasure out of it.
Yeah,
Does that make it okay?
obviously.
No. So it's like, that's why you have to like change scenarios to see if your logic makes sense when it's applied differently. And that's what people don't realize, that, you know, you can't really nicely, humanely kill someone that doesn't want to die.
exactly.
You can't. It's impossible.
Yeah, and I guess I guess with Christians, I've talked to like a lot of Christians before about veganism, because I was just so curious, like, okay, what's your take on veganism? It's like, oh no, you're like, they like, instead of like, there's only like a few that I remember that actually like try to understand it, but the others are like, oh no, that's wrong. You know, if God wants you to eat these animals, you should eat them. You know, He lets you eat of all these animals. Why wouldn't you? I'm just like, oh my, like, are they
But
really?
that's the thing. Like, the Bible has been translated so much. Like, I'm not saying there's not truth in it. I'm not disregarding anybody that is religious, but it's been translated in so many ways. And the thing is that you can pick and choose. You can pick and choose a part where it says something, and then that's what people do. And that's the frustrating part.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you can't pick and choose whatever, you know, supports your narrative.
Yeah.
And the thing is that your narrative is to be still oppressing and enslaving others.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
you see what I'm saying? So it's like, religion, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but when you're using it to justify the mass murder of animals, it's not okay. And I think you don't even need God to understand that. Like, there's atheists that are more compassionate than a meat eater, and it's crazy, you know, but you come across that.
Yeah, no, it's sad to see that, really, just like how many walls they put up, and then how much scripture they pull out just to try and defend it, when really you just need to admit, like, oh man, this is wrong. Like, I wouldn't want to like raise my kids around, like, if you wouldn't even show your kid the slaughtering of an animal, like, that should already tell you enough. Like, you don't want that.
Exactly. That's why we take our kids, you know, apple picking and strawberry picking. Because imagine taking your kid to a slaughterhouse, they're gonna come out traumatized.
Yeah. They will.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes, you know, I feel like for people that are using the religion, it's like, how about use your own reasoning? Like, also, you have that.
Yeah.
You know, I know the Bible might be saying something, but do you really is that who you really are? Is that what you really believe? Or are you just going to like follow this scripture, you know, like this certain one? Because obviously it's picnicking right there.
Yeah, it's literally just cherry picked, just to defend them. I guess one thing I always leave, like, at the end of I guess me and a Christian debate or whatever, what I leave them with is like, okay, well, at the end of the day, God, like, would you rather have God's plan A or plan B? Like, God's plan A was always for us to be vegan, but once sin entered the world, that's when all the survival and bloodlust and all this stuff started happening. And the world, like, no, choose
Yeah.
God's DNA. This is how it was meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And also, like, what people don't realize is that, you know, human rights and animal rights are kind of like in the same spectrum, because
Yeah.
people don't understand that the ones that are doing the dirty job, the job that nobody wants to do, is people that have no choice, like immigrants. You know, they're going to take whatever job they can get
Yeah.
because they have to feed a family, they have to provide. And so it's sad because it puts them in a situation where they're doing some like shitty things. And if you look into it, a lot of them suffer from like depression, PTSD. Like they have higher problems with that because they're killing animals by the second every day. Imagine being in that environment, like the screams. I mean, as far as energy goes, you can feel energy.
Exactly.
Imagine being in a room where that's happening every day and you're waking up to that. You know,
No.
so it's like if people really want to say that, you know, well, what are you doing for human rights? Well, it's kind of in the same spectrum. Like we're fighting also for the people that are oppressed in this way because they have no choice.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like people, they just pay for the end result. They're not seeing everything that happened prior to that nicely packaged, you know, in the grocery store.
I definitely
Yes,
agree with that
that's
because it literally ties in. Like you're
Mhm.
exploiting like human workers as well, and you know, I mean, this is all real stuff. Like you can search all this stuff up, like the PTSD, the suicide rates, all this stuff
Yes.
that is traumatizing, and that just shouldn't even be a thing at this point. But I'm glad people are finally starting to wake up and like starting to be more open and like realizing that.
Yes. Yeah, I think even the movement has really picked up a lot. There's that momentum
Yeah.
because I mean, like I said, I feel like also it's happening because, you know, we can't really afford to keep doing the things that we do, you know, to live in a way that just creates so much waste, creates so much pollution. Like I
Mhm.
understand that us vegans, we're not perfect. Like we're not asking you for perfection. You can still be the same person that you are. But the thing is that if you can actively choose to reduce, you know, the harm that you cause, the waste that you create, then us doing it together, like we can do a lot. And that's the thing. Like when you choose to eat meat, it's not personal when you're affecting someone, when you're affecting my environment, the home that I'm in. So I feel like in that point, I have every right to make it vocal to you because, you know, it's like somebody that's picking up trash and then you have somebody that keeps trashing it. It's like we're going against each other, but at the end of the day, we both need this planet to live on. You know, as far as I know, there isn't another place that we can go to.
Mhm.
And if we don't change, then just the generations are going to come into a place. And that's why we have the whole you only live once, but it's like, no, you live every day. But
Yeah.
with that, it's carelessness because it gives the idea that we shouldn't even care anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like, what are we leaving behind? You know,
That's
that's
really
the
like
thing.
it really is a toxic mindset because I guess that gives
Mhm.
you excuses to do a lot of bad.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
obviously, we do not want to do that. But I guess with the whole vegan movement, and it's really three in one, it's really, you know, you're doing so much good, not only for your body, you're doing so much good for these animals, and you're doing so much good for this planet. And the thing is, there's so much research. Like you can listen to me say a bunch of shit and not believe it, but you can go do your own research
Yeah.
and go see
Yeah.
all of this is
Yeah.
true. Like we're saving so many planets. We reduce so much pollution. It's just so much that causes simply because a switch of a diet, simply because we decided
Mhm.
our taste buds do not equal life. And
Exactly.
that's really what people need to really question themselves. Am
Mhm.
I just eating this because it tastes good? But like what all else am I
Yeah.
hurting
Like,
just
what's
because of
behind the
that?
scenes?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like, do you take, you know, do you value taste or life? What do you value more?
Taste or
You know,
life.
and some people ironically will say taste, but that's because they're talking out of ignorance. You know, it's like they don't really understand. Like I told you, will come across those people, and it's totally okay. You know, they're gonna be there,
Yeah.
but then you have the ones that won't, and they will value life more than taste. And the thing is that there's a whole misconception with, you know, going vegan, that the food isn't as good. Like, yo, I have I enjoy food now more than ever. Like you have no idea how much I enjoy it. And the thing is that I can eat so much of it or so little of it, and it's as good. Better than ever. I always tell people I feel better now than I did when I was, you know, eating a lot of animal products.
Mhm.
And I was younger then, so I should not be feeling, you know, because I mean, I used to suffer from a lot of headaches. I used to have a lot of issues that technically were not diseases. They were like little chronic issues. But the thing is that we still shouldn't be feeling those things, when we're young. I feel like those are just signs that the body is, sending like, hey, you're really unhealthy, but we don't pay mind to it. So even with like changing your lifestyle, you really start to tune in into your body, to your mind. It's like, I see it as a cleanse. It's like you really start to tap in mind, body, and spirit now. Because I feel like eating animals is bad karma, especially when you know that it's because of you that's happening. Like, even though people don't want to accept this, if you support, the meat, the dairy, and egg industry and other industries, you are a part of it. You may not be doing it yourself, but you're funding it. So technically, you still contribute to it in some way.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Plus, I don't know if you believe in this or not, but I do believe you do believe like you are what you eat, right? But also, do you believe in that like this meat, like the energy that it carries at the time of death and all of the suffering that it has, you're intaking this on an energetic level. Do you believe in that?
Yeah. I mean, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So it's going to be transmuted into you. That's why, I mean, that's the thing. When you start to be more, when you start to understand energy more, and then you really, can differentiate the difference. You can tell that when you eat meat, most people want to go to sleep. Most people feel sluggish. They don't feel alive. But think about what the energy that you're putting in. Okay, you're first putting flesh that from an animal that already died, it's dead. So there's already no life force energy. And then you cook it. So you kill the little bit of energy that it had, completely cooked away. So now you're having just this dense chunk of flesh from an animal that suffered, from an animal that went through a lot of things, and all of that stays within. And then you're ingesting it. And so now you see the root cause of a lot of things for humans, like, health issues, cancer. It's because of that. It's the manifestation of what you're putting into your body.
I 100% agree. Our bodies are not graveyards, people. These are not. These are
Exactly.
temples. We need to take care of this.
Exactly. This is our temple. I genuinely feel like when God was talking about the temple of God, it wasn't necessarily a physical temple. I feel like it's our vessel. That's the temple of God, because we're technically created in the image of. So it's like, when I see it as a disrespect to the body, because when you're polluting it with things that aren't helping it, stay healthy and stay on its optimal way, then it's like you're going against the laws of nature. And I feel like that's what obviously separates you now. And so you're suffering. You're in a more state of being prone to disease. You're creating an environment where you can easily get sick.
Yeah.
And I genuinely feel that when you stop doing that and you respect the body, you feed it what a human should be fed, then things start to change. Your mindset changes. You feel more lighter. You feel better. So it's like, I think that's the biggest difference too, like understanding how energy works and knowing that not all food is the same. Not all food vibrates the same.
That's so true.
Definitely doesn't.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it how it is, because it is literally disrespecting your own body. Like, if this is, God's temple, which it is, you're not going to allow just anything to come into it, like pollutants and disease and all this bad stuff.
Exactly.
You're choosing to eat all this stuff too, simply because it tastes good. It's just.
And I mean, think about it. Did you guys ever eat animal flesh that was not seasoned? Like just plain?
Oh,
That's so true. Oh my. That's right.
Let me know, because I didn't, There's a reason for that.
And that's the thing. People say, "Oh, it's just a taste," but it's really like you wouldn't eat chicken plain. You wouldn't eat the steak plain.
Like, imagine just throwing it in the oven.
And that's.
I mean, it has no taste. Like, there's a reason why we add everything. There's a side. Think about it. We don't like the taste of meat. We like the taste that we add on the meat.
We put
And that's the
flavorings on these things anyway, right? Like, it's the sauce.
exactly. Yeah, all the seasonings are made from plants. Crushed up powder, a little bit of salt. I mean, it's crazy, and that's the thing. Like, it's really breaking down the fallacies that people created for veganism. That it's boring, unhealthy, it doesn't taste good, and you're just living a very unhappy life. But it's like, no, honey. Let me tell you the complete opposite. But that's what we have to be vocal and really educate ourselves, because of so much misinformation. that to a certain extent does influence people. You know, for example, when you have Miley, a lot of people, you know, do look up to them, to celebrities. Some people are crazy enough to like follow what they do to a certain extent.
Mhm.
So, you know, she's so famous, she could have gone the education, but she don't. And it's not okay, because you're a grown adult, you should be able to learn the basics. You know, I did hear her interview that she had, because I wanted to see her perspective. I wanted to know why she was going back.
Mhm.
And just, you know, the justifications, the lack of information. She was like, yeah, I was eating like this guy on YouTube. It's like, girl, you have access to so much information. You can pay a high, well-known nutritionist to feed you, right? Like she was eating, she probably wasn't eating enough. She wasn't getting enough of what she needed. And
Yeah.
she's a performer. She needs to be taking care of herself even more because she performs.
Yeah.
You know, they're probably running on other substances or coffee or something that they forget to eat because they live a fast life. When you're living that fast and you're a celebrity, there's a lot of pressures, you know,
Yeah.
to be a certain way. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't really follow celebrities because to a certain extent, they're not really there to help the movement. Sometimes they hurt it even more than they're helping because of their lack of understanding, the lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And you can get omegas from many
much.
plants. Like,
How
you know,
many
you're not going to be protein deficient. It's a fallacy. Like, nobody in the existence of the world has ever had a protein deficiency.
Really?
If you read the China study, there's a lot of books that I read. The China study is the one that really changed my perspective and was like, okay, you're good. Like, it's affirmation, you know, reaffirmation that what you're doing is on the right path, because people do make you question things, but it's like, I can't trust you. Like, you're still eating animal flesh. And not to say that you're not to be trusted, but the thing is that you're choosing something that I already know is not good for you.
Mhm.
You know, like, I'm sorry, like, even if you want to justify, like, it's still not true. Evidence says otherwise. And so what I'm saying is like, um just knowing those things, and like education is going to be the biggest one for me, because that's what
Mhm.
changed my life, you know, reading the books. And a lot of these books, like, even if you want to have animal, you know, flesh, the how much you're supposed to consume is so little to what people consume.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's crazy.
And that's the thing. It really is a huge part of this whole movement. It's really educating yourself. So I guess basing this off everything that you've said about education, right? Like, do you have like somebody listening? Do you have something that you recommend? Maybe like YouTubers, maybe like documentaries, maybe articles, maybe books that you would personally recommend, maybe to get them into it, or something that you just
um
is really good
yeah,
overall.
yeah, actually, give me 1 second, because I have like a few books that I want to
Okay,
show.
that's cool.
'Cause-
Yeah.
yeah, give me one moment.
All right. Sounds good.
Yes.
Thank you guys. We hope you're enjoying this so far. I guess this is the intermission.
Intermission. I'm pretty sure we can like cut though.
Nah, I still want to talk to him though. This is
Okay,
interesting,
guys.
but
I'm pretty sure I can switch the camera where it's like side by side.
yeah, we definitely
Okay, I'm gonna switch really quick, guys. Sorry.
do that.
Oh,
Oh.
is that okay?
I guess that works better, huh?
That's how it was supposed to be. It's okay, guys. You know.
Was it supposed to be like that the whole time?
Yeah, but you know it's okay.
It is
It's
okay.
okay. Unless y'all like it like that, let us know, please. I'm gonna keep it like this
Yeah, I
for
feel
the
like
rest
that,
now.
honestly. Yeah. All right.
Turn off my lights. Give me a moment.
Hey.
So I'm gonna share only 2 books. Obviously, there's more, but I think these are good. And also, there's the China study. I don't have it anymore because we gave it to a friend, because we had already pretty much read it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the China study, that's a good one. This one, like, if you're really trying to like understand more about food, if you want to like detox and things like that, it's good to learn about people that you don't hear about, people that are doing things that, you know, the medical industry can't do. So yeah, this one.
That's awesome.
And this one is because I read it myself, even though I'm vegan already. I think it's very important to read. It's called Eating Animals.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like, if you read this book, you can just not go vegan. Like, not only does it cover like the whole aspect of, you know, the industries and like how horrific they are, but it also really touches on environmental issues
Mm-hmm.
and how these industries literally pay so much money because one, they're freaking rich. They have so much money they can just give whatever they want. But basically, there was this one of the biggest like environmental disasters that happened, and that really nobody knows about because technically they paid out millions and millions of money so that they could just not really put it out there and not really talk about it. So
Wow.
they're really paying industries to just kind of discard these things and not talk about them.
Yeah.
And I forgot how much money it was, but I was like, yeah, that's nothing to an industry that makes billions, you know?
Exactly. You know what? These books and just being really educated shows you a whole new perspective that you could have never even found out. And I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
that's a huge point, getting educated. So if you really have the opportunity, please go take a look at these books
Honestly,
he recommends.
yeah. And there's a lot of people, I mean, veganism has been around for a long time,
Mhm.
and even prior to that. So there's a lot of people that have left things like that behind, so that there's somebody, that looks at them and keeps promoting them. And I think it's very cool that they do this because, these people may not technically be alive or something, but they left, something so that we could look back into it and not say that there was never a reason, to not look into it. So like the information is there. People have so much information to put out there, and it's crazy. Like if you ignore veganism out of ignorance, like you just really have to educate yourself on why we're even talking to you about it. Like a lot of people have this perception that vegans are annoying or like pushy,
Yeah.
but it's not about us. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about who we are talking in behalf of.
Yeah.
That's where we're coming from. But yeah, it's just annoying that people think it's about like me. It's not. Like you don't have to worry about me. You don't have to like me. You
Yeah.
just have to listen to something that can help everybody.
Yeah,
I tell
exactly.
people, I'm like, veganism is like the gift that everybody needs but nobody wants.
Ooh, that
That's
was so
true.
good.
That's true. No, that is true because everyone wants to end the climate change. Everyone wants to end animal cruelty. Then you say, okay, well, veganism is the answer to all these things, and people are like, oh, actually, never mind. I can't do it.
Yes,
How
that's
does
what
that
I'm saying.
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
And
But
it's annoying
that's what it is.
because, and that's the thing, like some people don't get the annoyance. It's not annoyance really towards them, but it's the fact that we have to stand up for this. If not, our world's gonna keep being the shitty world that it is.
Yeah.
And then, people are like, like fuck life. But it's like, dude, you're the reason why you say that, and you're the reason why we're still in here. That's
Yeah.
why I really like to paint a picture that if we all get together, we can agree on doing this. Like things can start to shift for the better, and we can actually move towards a healthier world where we're not like, fuck this world. We
Mhm.
actually enjoy the world that we live in.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
So huge.
Yeah, and even like you said, it was like it's the few back then, and this movement has been going on for a while. Well, at least
Yeah.
because Leonardo da Vinci, I know for sure was big.
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla, even Albert Einstein said that nothing would help the world more than transitioning to a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle, right? So
Yeah. And what's crazy is that sometimes they just want to bring it back to like, oh, you can't be smart, or you can't be big, or you can't be certain things without animal flesh.
ah,
But it's like you have like ninjas, you have like what is it, gladiators at the time.
Okay.
yeah,
Their diets were predominantly plant-based, and they were like the strongest people, the most agile people. So it's like you can't really say that eating this way is going to make you any less, because
Yeah.
even the biggest animals that we have in the world are herbivores. They eat plants. They're not eating animals.
True.
That's a huge point to hit on because that's another documentary that we would recommend everyone to watch, which is
Oh
Game
yeah,
Changers.
documentary.
Yeah,
Which one?
Game Changers,
Yeah, Game Changers for sure.
because that one will.
I
Any
mean,
athlete that feels like oh, I'm not
yeah.
massive, or I'm gonna, it's gonna reduce my performance.
nah.
Please just take a look at this, and your life will change.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like people should just really like tune in into the documentaries in all aspects, because
Yeah.
you have documentaries that cover, the ethics, you have the ones that cover environmental issues, health issues, and now, for people that are athletic. So it's like when you watch all those documentaries, it just reaffirms everything.
Yeah.
I mean, people do spend a lot of time doing these so that, they're put out for the public to understand what it really is about. So even watching like Cowspiracy, Dominion, which covers all the ethics, Earthlings,
Yeah.
What the Health, the Game Changers.
Yeah.
All of those are very powerful. And a lot of people did change in the moment, when those came out. So
Yeah.
it's like very, very powerful.
Sure. And I guess let's see. This I don't want this to be too off topic, but I guess it does kind of tie in. But and I probably already know the answer to this question, but would you consider yourself spiritual?
Spiritual
Yeah.
in the sense of like practice, or just like, I mean,
A spiritual person.
spirit,
Yeah, practice.
yeah, spiritual can, obviously go different ways, because you can be like a spiritual yogi, or like, something like that. I will say that like my spirituality comes from just being, doing my best to just be in alignment. I think that's what spirituality means to me. Meditation, doing things that respect me, that honor me, my mind, body, and spirit. I don't want to say that I'm religious anymore, just because, of my understanding.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I always had faith. Like I never thought that there was, nothing. Like I never had those thoughts.
Yeah.
But I feel like my faith in on whom I think of when I think of God, it's not a physical person anymore. It's more of like everything that exists within and within us. That is, it just is. You can't really pinpoint it.
Yeah.
And even with nature, that's why most people, when they're out in nature, they feel so much better, because it's all part of the one, the creator, the universe, however you want to refer to it. So I think in just keeping like meditation and like eating what I should be eating as a human, is practicing spirituality, is really being like present with yourself and doing what is right.
Yeah.
So I would say that's what my spiritual practices are.
No,
So
yeah.
to a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, same. Because I mean, there's people that like, I mean, they go like into all forms. Spirituality can translate into religion or like.
Yeah.
There's just so much out there, but I keep it simple. Like just eat good. You are what you eat. Respect. What you have, and
Well,
align
what
yourself.
you do, yeah, what you do have, besides religion and the structure they put with like the amendments that even people don't follow, like thou shalt not kill. It doesn't say animals to humans. It just says thou shalt not kill. But people like to say like, oh no, like somehow,
Yeah.
So it's like I said, people don't really follow even when it comes to that. So, you do have the spiritual laws of nature. The ones that people don't talk about, don't really mention, but they're there. They're, embedded with us. And that is to, love one another, be nice to each other, like respect nature, because this is our home. It's the home that provides us with everything.
Yeah.
So, I feel like even if you're not religious, like eating the way we eat and treating ourselves the way we do is going against those laws of nature.
Yeah.
Going against yourself. And that's why people feel and stay in situations that are just toxic, low vibration per se.
Low vibration.
Yeah.
No, that's really what it is. I'd say.
Yeah, I see veganism as just moving away from that and really like going to a higher state of mind, because now that I eat healthier, it's like I'm able to think better clearly. I don't really feel like down or just all this crazy energy, but I understood that the energy, that anxiousness was coming from, what is being put in what stays in the animal flesh.
Yeah.
And I know that when I'm eating fruits and vegetables, this is food that is being sun cooked, grown, water with the sun's energy. Like it's just much, much natural. So you can definitely feel the difference with that.
No, yeah.
So
And it's really like a chain, really. It comes from the sun, planet, and then people would say animals and then us. But like,
yeah,
you really think about this. You can cut out this middleman. And it's really a waste of so many more resources that could be going into us just simply eating plants. So all these plants and that we feed these animals to get them all so fat so we can consume them is a waste of so much land, and it's a waste of product that we can be using for ourselves. So with that, it would be really honestly just to think about this, cutting off anything else, going really from plants. Like you no longer need the external of animals. That
You just skip the middleman.
Yeah,
That's
it's just skipping the middleman.
Yeah.
That is it.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you're just taking recycled things, it's like you're filtering through the animal, but it doesn't absorb the same. Like, it's just not the same. I mean, even if you think, that's why also like studying anatomy really helped me understand, food, because you understand that when you eat meat, first it's already like dead and everything. And then our intestines, they're really like large. I forgot how, I think it's like 12 feet or something like that. So it's going to travel a long time. And so that meat, that flesh rots in your colon, because it takes like 2 to 3 days for it to actually like break down. And so then you can poop it out. And the thing is that people, that's why they have constipation issues, because it's not digesting and they're already putting more, and then it's just more and just more, and no fiber. But think about it, when you go vegan, you start eating more fiber, things start moving more faster, you start pooping more.
Some things are moving.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, we're literally, I wouldn't say like killing in the sense like we're gonna die like right away, but it's like slowly poisoning the body. Technically we're meant to eat fruits and vegetables. Like, even some people would say we're just frugivores, just fruits, which I respect that, because I mean, fruits are the easiest to digest. They have everything you need: protein, water, minerals, vitamins, antioxidants. So it's literally the perfect food.
Wow.
Everything else that we tend to eat is an isolate. Like, we don't just need protein, we don't even get energy from protein. In order for us to have energy, we need sugar from fruits so that we can have energy. So we're eating things that aren't really helping us. That's why people are dependent of coffee or something of an outside source to keep that energy stimulated, because what they're eating is not sufficient. That's why they supplement. And people that want to come at vegans for supplementing, non-vegan supplement in so many ways. So it's like your diet is also deficient, but I know vegans that don't supplement because they're getting everything from Whole Foods. I get everything from Whole Foods. I take CMOS, it's like, it's just a lot. There's a lot that people aren't aware of. And I just hope that they really, tune in into this and understand that we're not trying to bash people. We're not saying you're a bad person. There's a lot of people that are good. They're just making wrong choices, or they're making unconscious choices too.
Yeah.
So it's
no,
not to say that you're bad,
I'm glad you're hitting with that. That's so true, because people form this dependency on so much outer sources. When if you go to the root cause of most of these diseases and chronic fatigue, and why you're always tired, and why you form a dependency on all this outside
caffeine.
Yeah, like I'm actually, I don't know if you're a coffee drinker, or if anyone listening is a coffee drinker, but I feel like it's wrong to say, and people are proud of this too, like, oh, I need my morning coffee, like I need
exactly. Think about it. What they need a fix, and usually it's a sweet fix, because there's a whole, I mean, if you want to get into the health, there's a whole controversy with fruit sugars. Stay away from the fruit. Don't eat a lot of fruit. But people are eating like donuts and like all this. Okay, so it's the wrong sugar that people are eating. Your body naturally craves sugar, but it's craving the fruit. The body literally, I mean, the brain literally runs on like this energy from the fruit. And when you're depriving yourself, the body is going to signal that. But the thing is that we're going for the wrong things, like the coffee, the stimulant. We're not going for what the body needs. So it's like we deprive ourselves of what we need. Again, lack of information. I didn't know that either. I never really liked coffee, to be honest. It never really did anything for me. So I was like, I'm not going to drink it. But I was, having other things. So it's like, nutrition is very important too if you want to have a successful transition.
That's true.
Because I'm not going to tell you like, yes, have anything that's vegan, eat it. No, that would be me, like, it would be wrong for me to say that. Like, I would say, yes, use the mock meats as a transition tool. Like for the moments that you crave meat or whatever. Because I feel that when you go vegan, it's kind of like you going into rehab, you're getting like, you get the withdrawals, you're like literally addicted to this substance, this food. So it's literally like going through that, you're not abstaining from something that is a drug technically. And it's like, you do go through that. So you just have to be willing, strong-minded, and stay firm during that, because the temptations are there. People will be like, oh, have this meat. Like some family members will tempt you. I had that happen so many times.
Oh no, seriously.
No, that happens.
But it's like, no, I'm okay. So you just really have to be solid with your decisions, you know? Like, I don't really believe in flexitarian because you're just in and out.
Yeah.
Like, why you don't have to be in and out. And with being in and out, there's always going to be an imbalance and you're not going to feel good because you're eating, you know, the bad foods and putting good food. So it creates a clash. Like, it just doesn't work
Oh yeah, that's not seem.
long term. That's what I'm talking long term. Because I know we're young. Like, we're young. We could eat whatever and still probably, you know, be thin and everything. But I'm trying to think long term. Is like, how do I want to feel
Yes.
when I'm 40, when I'm 50? How do I want to look? So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm not going to trash my body until it can't take it no more. Like, I'm going to the opposite. I'm going to do it every day so that when I'm 40, 50, I don't have to take medication.
There
Yeah.
you go.
I
Oh,
don't
this is
have to be on something.
huge.
Yeah, like that's the goal because people live medicated, you know?
Uh-huh. No, that's exactly. There's a saying really that is like if you invest this money and time into the healthy meals and whatever
Yeah.
you're cooking now,
Mhm.
it's all this money that and time that you're putting in, but in the future it's saving you from the bills, it's saving you from the surgery, it's saving
Yeah,
you from the
exactly.
pills. And that's really what it's down to perspective when you see it as it's not just for you now, but it's you in the long
Yeah.
term, and you just become
Exactly.
overall just a healthier person and no longer have to rely on pills or whatever everyone else recommends you. It's really just eating healthy just for you and your person.
Yeah, and honestly, like, who doesn't want to feel good, you know? There's so many people that complain every day because they just don't feel good. They don't have the energy. And it sucks because when you're feeling like that, you're not able to create. You don't have the encouragement to do things. You're, you know, more lazy. You're just like, like this life is just, and that's the thing. Like, that's why you can't feel alive, even though you're alive, because one, you're already trashing your body, which, you know, tremendously slows you down,
Yeah.
and it creates this negative narrative because you don't feel your best. So when you don't feel your best, it's easier to be negative. It's
Yeah.
easier to, you know, come down to low vibrations, start drinking, start doing all these crazy things. So that's what
True.
I'm saying. Like, it just makes you feel so much better. And I think that's also the biggest reason why I talk about it, because I want people to feel good. I want people to be happy with, you know, themselves, and to not be worrying about things that you don't need to be worrying about. You
Mm.
know, like, it literally makes you free, a lot more free than eating a certain way. So that's the way I see it. It freed my mind, changed me,
Yeah.
changed my entire life for the better. And I
Exactly.
think almost, yeah, I think almost every vegan has about the same results, you
Mhm.
know?
For sure.
So
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's why I see it even as something spiritual. I mean, for me personally, it's like this was something like I had to introduce into my life. Like it's not something I can ignore and be like, okay, I consider myself to be a spiritual person, you know, and I align myself with my beliefs, you know, and Mario helped me take that next step to say, you know what, nah, like, cut the bullshit, just go straight for vegan, you know?
Hell yeah.
And so
yeah,
that's what we did. And it's literally been one of the best decisions
No,
I've
it
ever
really
made.
has. Like, it's so insane how the ability to fuel your body simply by what you eat every
It's
day,
amazing.
and you really start to see the energy changes, the mood changes,
yeah,
how you just are overall as a person. You just become this uplifting
Yeah.
person. And that's the thing. People feel this energy. People feel it when you're around them, when you talk to them, how you
mhm,
express yourself, simply because it all goes back to really source, what you put into your
Yeah.
body.
yeah,
So, like, if you expect to eat like shit, like,
You're gonna feel
obviously,
like shit.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Something I've noticed too that I recently learned was a lot of people, yes, they have these cravings and they like the junk food because it gives them this instant gratification.
yes,
That's
yeah,
the reason. But in long term, it turns into something bad. But when you do something good, yes, you're doing it good now and you don't get that instant. But
mhm,
later on in the future, you'll see the good that came out of it.
Mhm.
So that's really
yeah,
what switches in people's minds that I feel like they need to realize. Yes,
Yeah.
you might feel good temporarily, but in the long term, it all will come back to you. And that's what people need to
mhm.
see.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of the times we don't even realize why we're craving certain things. We just do.
Hmm.
But that can stem from being deficient or something, or having parasites in the body. Having, and that's the thing. Like, people don't think these things exist within us, but it's like you realize we were eating dead bodies and their secretions. In milk you find pus and blood. In meat you find in things that we don't even know. Like, the reason why I say that is because I've seen so much footage, and there's so many things that are not being regulated. People cut the cancer off the flesh and they package it.
That's
Like
insane.
that's what
That
I'm
is
saying.
insane.
So you're creating an environment inside of you that is perfect for things to thrive, like parasites, worms, things that aren't natural to the body, but they're only coming, via somehow. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes, depending on how bad you are, like you can have these things that crave that. It's not necessarily you, really. And that's one of the things that like I had to like understand when I was detoxing, because I was taking things out that I didn't even know were in my body. And I was like, holy fuck, it's like, wow, like it really goes to show how unhealthy this is.
Yeah.
And even for somebody, I wasn't overweight, you probably see me and you didn't think I have anything wrong with me, but it doesn't have to be cancer or diabetes for there's something to be wrong with you. Like if you're having very minor issues that are not prohibiting you from living, but are just like annoying and you have to deal with them, that's not really a good quality of life if you think about it.
It's not.
Yeah.
So, even as a woman, like, with periods and everything, like they were horrible, painful. And a lot of women suffer from this. And it roots from having a toxic diet. So it's just like, if you don't want to be toxic, you got to cleanse
That's a
these
huge point.
toxic.
That's a huge
Yeah.
point because honestly, a lot of our audience is actually female.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that is something that we personally don't know of. So this is something that you
Yeah.
can educate them on.
Well,
So
yeah.
huge.
Honestly, like I told you, I love to learn. So I'm actually getting certified to be a womb practitioner. So it just focuses on the female reproductive system.
Wow.
It's from all aspects, from food, spiritual aspect. I mean, you guys probably don't know, but even as a woman, when it comes to like us having our monthly period, there's a lot of negative stigma within that. Like there are moments where it's like dirty, or you should be ashamed. Like depending on the culture, women can be oppressed in a lot of ways, or looked down in a lot of ways. And so with me learning this, I want to help women who are having issues with the reproductive, with their periods irregularity, or they don't have periods. Some women that can't have babies because they're infertile. So, I really want to help that, because I've had issues myself. And it's like, if I can help somebody, then it's like, I'll do that. So I am learning to do that. And I will bring products to help women with that healing. So yeah, like trust me, there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot to share with others, because I know that even though we're different, sometimes we have the same issues. And the thing is that when you go to a doctor, they're not really there to help you fix the problem, the root cause. It's just kind of like, take this and suppress it.
Yeah, that's what it
Ooh,
is.
It's like maintenance. Like just take this.
Yeah, like just, and then come back like in 3 months.
Right.
Yeah, come back in 3 months. We'll give you some more.
Oh.
I mean, I used to work as a phlebotomist, in a clinic. I wasn't really dealing with patients or anything. I was just taking out blood from people so they could, see what was wrong with them.
Yeah.
But, just even being in that environment, the system is not there to help these people. Like these people would just come every 3 months to get refills on pills, and they just look so bad. Like, and it's so sad because people genuinely trust that they're going to be helped,
They do. They do.
and they don't. And that's my biggest thing. Like, I know most people are here to help, and everything, but I want to like actually help them, and so they don't come back to me.
Yeah. I know.
And some people might say like there's not a lot of money in that, and it's like, well, that's totally okay, because you're giving somebody back, their lives, like where they're able to enjoy themselves. Like there's more reward in that than just making money off the sick. Like that doesn't resonate with me, so therefore I can't go into that. So obviously I'm going to find an alternative to to actually help people, so they can just be with me for a certain time, and they're going to go enjoy their lives.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need healthy people, healthy thinking people, so we can make rational decisions.
That's true. Nah, and like literally, I'm not kidding when I say this. Like I feel the energy right now, like coming through the screen, because that's something that I feel like now, like, wow, it really does come down to diet, to your body, because what you put inside, like from the outside, what you put inside in, it's your mental health, it's your spirituality, it's your body. Yeah. So to me, it's like,
and not to say that going vegan will solve your problems. No, there's a lot of work that a person has to do. Like you have to address, like I don't personally know everybody, but what has helped me is just really working on yourself, your traumas, your triggers, like also, having a mental state of being. Because if you don't, then even if you eat kale, if you don't fix the problems going on in here or internally, it doesn't matter how much kale or like healthy food you have.
Yeah.
So it is a part of it, like eating healthy, but also addressing the things that weigh you down. If you have a negative mindset, eating healthy is not necessarily going to change it. It will help it because now you're intaking, healthier food, so you have at least energy.
Mhm.
But then you also have to address your limiting beliefs. So like getting over that and growing your mindset, like nourishing the mind too, because it's not just what you eat, it's what you watch, what you read, what you tune into,
yes.
the
Yeah.
music that you listen to. Like it's every aspect of that helps you thrive as a human in all aspects, not just health, but also being mentally stable.
Yes. Wow, that's crazy you mentioned that too,
That's
because
so
we
huge.
talked about that the
Yeah.
other day. It's like, okay, it's not like you said, it doesn't only come down to what you put in your body. It's like, what are you filling your
Mhm.
mind with as well?
Yeah,
Because the people
exactly.
you do interact with daily, whatever you watch daily, will have huge effect overall on your
Hell
person.
yeah. Hell yeah. Like I even see Instagram as a vision board, what you see every day when you're scrolling. It's not exactly maybe your reality, but it's like what you're tapping into. So
Yeah.
obviously if you're always seeing gossip, negative shit, like it's just a reflection of maybe your current state of being. But if you're tapping into people that are, successful, they're being entrepreneurs per se, they're living their dreams, they're doing something that's very empowering, or it's getting them out of the rat race. And the reason I say that is because some people are okay with working for the rest of their lives for somebody. I'm not. I'm going to do everything in my power so that I have full control of, my whole life, so that I can work for myself and create something, for if I ever decide to have a family. So
Yeah.
that's where I want to focus. And not to say, go leave your job, but it's just like, if you're going to have a job, also work on your dreams. Like, don't just focus on that job. Like, you got to do both. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to, well, at least that's what I intend to do.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, me tapping into that and just leaving the toxic friends, the friends that aren't really matching what I want. If I'm seeing friends that are always like complaining and drinking and they're just not where they want to be, I don't want to be surrounded with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to surround myself. And even if it's not physical people, like I said, the phone has a huge influence. You can tap into whatever you want.
That's
You
so
can learn whatever you want through here.
Mhm.
And so if you, even with Instagram, if a lot of people that you see are always talking about change, get up, do this, like you have the power, like it's going to empower you even more. It's just going to give you that extra push, you know, connecting with these people too, like doing network with people like that. So yeah, that's something that I also encourage, like just being mindful of the things that you tune into, just like with the radio.
yeah.
We tune in the music that we want.
That's
Some music is high vibration, some is low, some
So true.
talks
That's
about
true.
irrelevant stuff, and then some music empowers you. It's the same thing with food, same thing with mindset.
yeah.
So
No, that's so true. I love how you said that. Like your Instagram is literally your vision board. Like what you're looking at, what you're filling yourself with, it's gonna become your reality. And that just
yeah,
got me thinking like, okay, I need to like start unfollowing some
Yeah.
accounts. And it just felt like,
yeah.
the
And
algorithm has me giving you what I want.
No,
man.
no, that's what it is.
You know?
Oh wow.
The algorithm is giving you what you
Yeah,
want.
it's literally like a
yeah, because
life.
like I told you guys, I love to create, anything, whether it's in food, creating a meal, or just creating videos. I feel like we're creators. Obviously, everybody has the ability to create.
Mhm.
Um, and that's the thing. I love people who create content. So that's why I tune into these people, because, obviously to a certain extent, it does get embedded in your subconscious mind. You are watching it every day. You are watching people certain, every day basically. And so it has an influence, a very powerful influence. So I know people say that the internet can be a scary place or it can be negative, but it's how you use it.
It is how
Because
you.
it can help you or destroy you. It's your choice. It comes down to choice too on that.
Yeah.
That's true. It's
It is
literally
a
what you
tool.
make of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. What else should we hit on real quick?
I don't know if you have anything specifically that you want to hit on as a last thing for the people.
Well, if I do have a few things.
Yeah.
If you're like, if this really resonated with you and it's something that you have been thinking about, you have considered, follow that.
Mhm.
Just like really follow that, because it may lead you into places that you never expected. You know, especially if you continue to educate yourself and learn as you go, rather than to do it for selfish reasons. Because sometimes if we do things selfishly, you know, it's not going to last. It might last until you got it, you know, for a certain amount of time. So like education is one. Also, if you are wanting to start your transition, we have created tools to facilitate that. For example, I have a free ebook that I created, me and my partner created. There's a whole guide on how to transition, if you want to get into detoxing, a food list, basically everything that you can possibly need, along with 30 recipes, raw and cooked. So I have that, and it's totally free.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and if you know, are wanting more, we also have consultations, like if anybody feels like reaching out or something. And even if you don't, like, just asking question is the best thing. Like you can ask somebody for help, advice. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be a certain thing, but you know, I'm always open, because that's why I created my page for. I'm open for discussion. If we want to talk, you know, they have concerns, questions. I'm not going to say I know it all, but you know, I've been doing this for 4 years, and I feel that I'm in a position where I can be of help to others.
Yeah, and that's so awesome. So, you
Mhm.
know, obviously people know now what you can do. So where could they
Yeah.
reach you at? You know, so like what could they plug yourself in so everyone knows?
Well, I don't have a lot of social media because, like I said, it's in the works. But you can do Instagram or the actual like web page that we have, the site, thewavymovement.com. That's where you can also find our Instagram, or just everything that we're connected to. There's blogs in there that my partner has created too, that talks on like so many topics like money, mindset, food,
That's awesome.
so many things. Like you just got to check it out. So those are the two ways. Our Instagram, that also has, you know, the page link into it, if that's what you find. So yeah, those are the two platforms that I would say.
And you have your personal account that I don't know if you want to plug that in, but you can go ahead too if you want. So they can reach you as an individual.
We could put that in the description.
Yeah, my Instagram, because my Instagram is connected to the to the site, and also to
all
the
interconnected.
actual business IG page, because that's where we post more about like information or our products too. So that's more for that.
Okay, well, you know what? That is awesome.
That works out, and hopefully we can have you on here again if you want to be on here again. I'm pretty sure this is an awesome.
Definitely. I'll be
down.
down. I think we had a good discussion, and you know, it's a perspective to put out there for people, you know, because there's many things to talk about, and it's not just one, and it's not just one thing, you know. So we really want to break those myths and just tell people that it's not what people make it to be, and doing what we do is actually so much better. And you know, it does change your life, but you got to be willing to do the work to accept change, so that you can, you know, have more room to improve and do bigger things.
Yes, that's so awesome. And with that, you know, this monologue that she leaves y'all with, I hope you sincerely take some of this and implement into your life and realize, you know, we're not just saying this for our own benefit, but we're saying this for your benefit. We're saying this because we want you to become the best person that you can possibly be. So please take anything from this video, this podcast, and implement it to your life. And you never know, you might see a major change.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yes. With that, thank you for being here. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, thank you guys too. And I appreciate the combo. I think it was amazing. It's a good energy exchange. So, you know, thank you guys. I admire you for your work too, for doing something that, you know, speaks to you, that you find it's going to help a lot of people. And I just hope that this platform does, you know, make it big, so that it can help influence anybody that comes in contact with you guys.
Definitely.
Thank you.
So awesome. That is the goal. So you know what? Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.